Okay, Alan. So today I'd like to speak about incapacitated child tax credit. Now, I know a lot of parents do not want to be ringing the revenue, but on some occasions they can benefit us. So I would just like you to help parents through the incapacitated child tax credit.
So incapacity child tax credit is an additional tax credit that parents can get who are employees, and even the self-employed can also claim it. And basically what it is, it's acknowledgement from the revenue, the additional cost the parents bore when they have a child with additional needs from all the different medical expenses and all the different things that are going on. So therefore it's an actually beneficial for parents to contact the revenue when it comes to the incapacity child tax credit.
Okay, so how do parents qualify for this, Alan?
So to qualify, you must have obviously a child who has, additional needs, who basically what they're looking for, it would struggle to maintain themselves both financially and state of property or assets going forward. So what the revenue are trying to distinguish that if a child can have like aids, appliance, equipment that would maintain them and that they would be able to get on with their lives, then obviously they're not looking at that level. What they're looking for a level that basically your child, when they're an adult, they would struggle to hold down a kind of full-time job to basically maintain themselves, to basically be able to kind of continue on with their lives.
Okay, so what age must the child be then, Alan, to claim this tax?
There's no kind of age limit. So again, from birth, you can claim it from birth if you have a diagnosis from birth, or if you're, say, diagnosis when your child is 2 or 3, you can always back claim it. You can go back to like 4 years with the revenue. So the revenue are actually very good to deal with. They will allow you to go back kind of 4 years. And then there's no upper age limit either. What I mean by that, often parents would assume that when the child comes over the age of 18, they would then need to stop claiming the incapacity child tax because it's not a child, it's an adult. But remember, it's always your child. If they're living at home, they have, their diagnosis, you could continue to claim that. And I suppose the only part I would say to parents is to stop claiming it is when the child maybe moves out of home on a full-time basis. Then I would encourage parents to contact the revenue at that point to see could they continue to qualify.
Okay, and what is the rate then of that credit in 2023?
It's 3,300 per child. Why I say per child is if you have more than one child with additional needs, you can claim, twice or 3 times that. So it's 3,300. It's a substantial credit, so it's very good. And as I said, you can back claim it as well. So if you're only aware of it through this video, you can obviously get onto revenue and they'll allow you to go back up to 4 years.
Okay, so could you talk parents through how to fill in this form, Alan?
I'll pull her up on screen. Yeah, there's 2 parts to the form. You need to fill in both, and you'll bring her up. Now you'll be able to download this from the revenue website there, so you can see the incapacity child tax credit first form. This is the form that you fill in. So again, the first section A is the parent who's going to claim it. They put in their details here. Section B obviously is about your child's details. If you go through the questions, they're pretty kind of standard. The one where I find most parents get mixed up is this part here. So let me explain first of all, and that is normally what you could have is one parent being a full-time carer and the other parent working away. So therefore the person who's employed or self-employed, they'd fill in this, they'd be the claimant. Now you can have a situation where both parents are working, so they could split the tax credit between them. That's also possible as well. Again, the child doesn't need to be your biological child, or if you're separated, this is where this section comes in. So it says, is any person also maintain this child? Now, if you're, as I said, the situation is where both parents are living, and one parent's claim, you say no here. You don't need to. This is only for those who are separated, or as we said, it mightn't be your biological child, but you're still providing for the child. Then you would fill in yes, and you would put in some contribution level of how much you would care or how much you pay towards the child. Otherwise, you can skip that section. As I said, if you're just a married couple and one of you are, you're splitting the credit between you. And then, as I said, the next part then is just putting in your details where you'd like the credit coming back to. The second form is more actually to do with your GP needing to fill in to support the kind of claim. So again, in here then, again, the claim details, and you put in the parent's details, the child details, and then the GP or your consultant would answer the question. And it's basically what they're looking for is kind of confirmation from a profession whether or not this whole, over 18 being able to maintain themselves. And then the doctor obviously stamps and signs that form for them.
Okay, and where would people apply for that incapacitated child tax credit?
So you can do revenue online. You can apply to revenue online, or when you're doing your account, your self-assessment every year, you can include it in that if you're self-employed, and you'll be able to claim it back then on that as well.
And you like, for parents like myself now, incapacitated is a shocking word, and it's just one of the words that we have to deal with and have in our lives. But for those parents who are unsure of their future, their children's future, say, or to see would they be independent, how would that work then with this credit, Allan?
Yeah, no, I come across this, and I suppose I often, the consultation, parents would have a great fear of frightened to claim this because of two. One, they think they're going to label their child, and then their child's ability to apply for work and stuff would be impacted. So it certainly won't do anything like that. And that's something I want to encourage parents. This is nothing to do with your capacity. And of course, you're changing capacity for your child. Okay, so this is more to do with, as I said, if you're unsure, once you have domiciliary or you have disability line, I always encourage my families, apply for it now. Maybe send in additional information, maybe not do it on revenue online, maybe actually fill in the form and send it manually into them through the post, and let them look and assess the application. So therefore then you're not looking over your shoulder if your child turns over 18 and becomes more independent. And actually that would be a fabulous thing. You can just contact the revenue and you can stop the credit then at that point. So I now always encourage, if you have domiciliary in disability line, send it off and don't be worrying. Yes, I totally agree with the wording. It's again, but what can we do on that? Let's just obviously, as I said, make sure if it's there for your child, make sure you're able to get access to it, because obviously it will be needed going forward.
And does that stop at a certain age as the child gets older?
No, right up, even as I said, because what parents say, oh, the child is now an adult, I need to stop it. No, again, once they're living at home, they have their disability allowance, again, you're all good to keep claiming that going forward. And as I said, only if they move out into full-time care would I then suggest contacting the revenue.
And where would parents find more information on this?
Revenue is actually very good. If you go on the revenue website online, if you go there, you get the form to download as well. And as I said there, you'll be able to see it. And you can contact the revenue. Revenue are actually quite helpful. They will actually tell you how best to apply and set up, because it's their job to make sure you pay at least tax, but you obviously legally pay tax, but you pay the least amount of tax. So I'd encourage parents, none of us like to contact revenue, but I would encourage parents on this side. I would actually don't contact the Department of Social Protection too quickly, but deal with the revenue. They're very good to deal with.
Okay, great, Allan. Thank you so much for that.
No problem. Bye there.